Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video here on iStarly TV. So the Decidueye 7-star raids are here now, and we've got the best counters to those raids. Now, basically I'll just show you right now the two best counters that I found. And of course a lot of people have talked about these online, and some of these ideas I did get from online, but still these are what I found to be the best. Of course, since the Decidueye is a flying type, having electric types is a good place to start, and these two are the ones that I've had the most success with. You know, Iron Hands is another one that people had talked a lot about, but the thing is the Decidueye actually has Feather Dance, which can lower your attack stat, so it's best to not use a physical attacker for this raid and instead use a special attacker. The Decidueye is also a physical attacker itself, and it has Swords Dance that it'll set up, so you're going to want Pokemon that are bulky enough as well. Now, of course, as always, I'm talking specifically about soloing these raids, because that's the way that I typically do them, because I find it to be a lot easier, because I don't have any friends in real life who play Pokemon or have, access to the raids or care about the raids even, so yeah, I've just found it to be easier because it's harder to do them online with random people, so Miraidon was talked about as like the best Pokemon going into the raids, and of course, if you have Pokemon Scarlet and you don't have Miraidon, it's going to be harder for you to do this because, you can't get Miraidon unless you trade with someone. So a Pokemon that you can use if you do not have Pokemon Violet, and even if you do have Violet, is Bellibolt. I found Bellibolt to be really good. I bred this one today, leveled it up to 100. As far as IVs and EVs, let's actually talk about the EV spread. If you'll notice, for both of them, I have max special attack and max defense with a modest nature for both of them. And I kind of think that that's the best way to go because, again, the Decidueye is pretty much a purely physical attacker. It does have one special attack, which is Air Cutter, but that's a flying type move and it's pretty weak. So if you have an electric type, you're not going to take any damage from Air Cutter anyway, even if you don't have any investment in like HP. So because it's a purely physical attacker, I think you just pretty much want to go max defense rather than max HP. If you have max HP, it's fine as well. This can definitely work. I've heard people online who used these Pokemon with max HP and max special attack and still were able to do it solo. So it's definitely possible. As for the moves, to be honest, let's talk about Miraidon first and the strategy. So for Miraidon, you're going to want Metal Sound, Charge, and Electro Drift. Just those three moves are all you need for Miraidon. And I'm personally holding the Wide Lens item. I think that's the best item here because it boosts your accuracy, where Metal Sound is not a 100% accurate move. It's only 85 base accuracy. So you want to make sure you hit those Metal Sounds, because if you don't, you actually can lose the raid, or the raid becomes a lot harder if you don't. So the strategy here is Metal Sound 3 times in a row, then Charge, then use Electro Drift, and you one-shot the Decidueye. I actually have maybe I'll put up a clip here. I saved one on my Switch, but anyways, my first try when I did this, it was actually the second try, to be honest. I lost the first one, but the second try, it felt really easy. You just go Metal Sound 3 times, Charge, and then Electro Drift. So that's all you need to do if you're using Miraidon. Level 100, again, modest nature with max special attack and max defense EVs. And the reason I ended up losing one of them was actually because I did miss a Metal Sound. So once again, I think you really want Wide Lens here, because otherwise you might miss Metal Sound. And if you miss even one Metal Sound, honestly, you might just lose the raid, because then you're not going to be doing as much damage to the Decidueye, and then, it's going to start setting up Swords Dances. Once it gets to the shield, it starts setting up Swords Dances, and that's going to make it a lot harder for you to win. You do resist, as Miraidon, you do resist Leaf Blade and Brave Bird, the two kind of more powerful moves from it, but it still has Spirit Shackle and Low Kick, which can both do a lot of damage to you. As for the Bellibolt, the strategy for this one is I'm holding the item Metronome, and I found that to be really useful because basically with Metronome, the more you use the same move over and over again, the more powerful it becomes. So I would advise using Metronome. I guess you could also use Choice Specs, because the funny thing here is, honestly, all you need to do with Bellibolt is click Parabolic Charge. That is all you need. You literally do not need anything else in these slots. And in fact, I would advise to just, not really worry about other moves. Just using Parabolic Charge is great. I guess you could use Reflect, which is another decent option as well, but I didn't even need it. Like I've done this solo 2 times with Bellibolt already, and literally all I do is click Parabolic Charge and make sure to Terrasilize as early as you possibly can. With the defense EVs, obviously it makes you take the hits a lot better, and basically in the early turns, you basically recover all of your health back with each Parabolic Charge. So, you know, even if Decidueye attacks you, that's actually a good thing because it charges up your ability Electromorphosis, and then you use Parabolic Charge and you recover right back to full health, and you just kind of keep that process going. You just literally spam Parabolic Charge the entire time, and then, like I said, as soon as you're able to Terrasilize, make sure to do that, and this raid should be a lot easier. Now, the raid for either of these 2 Pokemon, the raid is a lot easier if you have a teammate with Intimidate. So, you know, when you jump into a raid solo, it'll give you 3 random teammates, 3 random NPC teammates, and it's kind of random what you get as far as your teammates, but there are a few Pokemon with Intimidate like Tauros, Arcanine, Staraptor, probably a few other ones. If you get one of those, then honestly, that makes the raid so much easier. It almost makes it like a guaranteed win, whereas if you don't get a teammate with Intimidate, it's not exactly a guaranteed win. I have lost with Bellibolt, even though it was really close and I was spamming Parabolic Charge, but if you ever get to a point where you like faint with Bellibolt, especially if you've already Terrastalized, it does become a little bit harder to win because your moves are just not doing as much damage anymore because you lost the Tera. However, it is still possible to win with Bellibolt even if you do not have an Intimidate teammate. So if you're really worried about that, you know, you can kind of jump into the raid, and if you don't have a teammate with Intimidate, you can try it, but if it looks like you're going to lose, you can just run and then jump back into the raid again, and hopefully you'll get an Intimidate teammate, and if not, just run and just keep repeating the process until you get someone with Intimidate. Shouldn't be that hard because there are a few different options, like I said. So I'm just going to run us through a raid just so you can see how it works. I'm just going to use Bellibolt because, again, Bellibolt is accessible to everyone, whether you have Scarlet or Violet, and Miraidon is only available to those of you who have Violet. So once again, if you have Miraidon and you'd rather just use that, I'm just going to quickly run through the strat one more time. So make sure you hold a wide lens, and then the strategy is to click Metal Sound 3 times, then click Charge, then click Electro Drift, and that's all you need. And the cool thing is, of course, Miraidon's ability summons Electric Terrain, which lasts 5 turns, and if you notice, the strategy I just went over takes 4 turns, so you are able to click Electro Drift in Electric Terrain. So yeah, that's Miraidon's strategy. Let's go ahead and get into the Decidueye raid with Bellibolt. Alright, so here we go, and I did get an Intimidate teammate with the Arcanine there, so I expect this raid to go pretty smoothly. Another big thing about Intimidate is that, you know, every time the Arcanine gets knocked out and gets sent back in, it gets that Intimidate one more time on the Decidueye, so that just makes it so easy. Like I said, if you have an Intimidate teammate and you're running Bellibolt, it's almost a guaranteed win. And then if you don't have an Intimidate teammate, you could reset or you could run. It's definitely possible to win even without an Intimidate teammate, but it just makes it so much easier with one. And they went for Feather Dance first, I think, which doesn't matter at all. The one downside, this is kind of funny, the one downside to Decidueye going for Feather Dance and not attacking me is that it doesn't get my Electromorphosis, so it means I'm doing a little bit less damage that turn, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I went for 3 Parabolic Charges there, and now I get to Terrastilize. One kind of risk with this, I mean, it's not really a risk, it's just kind of if this happens, you know, if you Terrastilize and then you get knocked out at some point, when you come back in, it's harder, you're going to be doing a lot less damage because you cannot Terrastilize anymore. But like I said, I think this raid is going to be in the bag because we have that Arcanine. And I think I might have mentioned this, but as soon as the Decidueye gets the shield going, which is about a little bit over half health, that's when it starts setting up Swords Dance. And I've only seen it use Swords Dance once in the battle. I don't know if it goes Swords Dance, Swords Dance, Swords Dance, but like, yeah, I mean, maybe it does eventually, but you know, even when it has the shield, so that was a crit, but it didn't even do that much. Even when it has the shield going, if you're Terrastalized with Bellibolt, you can still recover all of your health, you know, with the parabolic charge. So that shield was really early. I've seen it do the shield again at about, I don't know, 60% of its health, but this is obviously a lot sooner than I anticipated. I guess the upside to this is we can possibly break the shield sooner. I mean, I'm close to dying though, so that could be an issue. We need that Arcanine to come back in. Although, you know what? Now that it has the shield up, I'm not even sure that Intimidate works anymore. Because you know how when the raid Pokemon has a shield up, you can't like use status moves on it. I probably should have checked its stats there just so I can see, but it doesn't matter. Let's just do this. Goes Leaf Blade, and that luckily I survived that really well. That means if it goes for another move, I will also be able to survive that. So we're just staying healthy here. Once we break that shield, it's pretty much GG, and it looks like we're going to be working through that shield pretty easily, so this shouldn't be that hard at this point. If it does get super tedious, I might go ahead and cut ahead or speed up, but at the same time, we're almost done with it, so might not be that hard. Another thing that's important to note, and I think this is really important, and you know, it's something I haven't really mentioned, is you definitely want to make sure that your Bellibolt has a Tera electric type. So if you caught a Bellibolt in a raid and it has a different Tera type, you will need to change it to electric, because that's just going to give you even more damage on the parabolic charges. And in fact, you kind of need it, because once the Decidueye gets that shield up, if you're not terastallized, you're doing a lot less damage. It's pretty much impossible to take it down at that point. So yeah, you will need to terastallize into the electric type. And the same goes for Miraidon. Pretty much any Pokemon you're running in this raid, as long as it's a Pokemon that hits Decidueye super effectively, you do want to terastallize into the type that you are, if that makes sense. So if you're running an ice type, I think I saw someone online using Avalugg. If you're running an ice type, you want to make sure you're Tera Ice, etc., right? So yeah, this raid's over, because this will break the shield, and it'll probably get me up to full health, and then my next parabolic charge will probably just, if not knock it out, like 2 more will do it. So yeah, as I said, this was an easy one because of that Intimidate teammate. I've heard people say that they won even without an Intimidate teammate. Personally, the 2 times that I lost this raid with Bellibolt, it was without an Intimidate teammate. So again, make of that information what you will. If you want to make sure to run from it when you don't get an Intimidator, that's up to you, but it's possible still. A lot of things are possible. In the previous raid events, I would always see people saying like, oh, I did it with this Pokemon in 1 try, and then I try that Pokemon and I lose 5 times in a row and stuff. So I think different things work for different people, and definitely luck is involved as well a lot of the time. But with that in mind, personally, I would say once you get into the groove of it, this Decidueye raid does feel a little bit like the easiest of the 7-star raid events so far, in my opinion, just because it doesn't really have that many like fantastic moves. And you know, also notably, it doesn't go for a turn 0 move like a lot of the other raid events did. You know, like Charizard went for Overheat right away before you could do anything. You know, Cinderace went for Bulk Up and stuff. Pikachu went for, what was it, like Rain Dance or something? I forgot. But either way, yeah, all those Pokemon had something that they did like right away. And Decidueye doesn't seem to do that. So yeah, this is easy. And Flying Tera Shards are actually pretty good. If you do competitive battling, I think Tera Flying is a decent Tera type on certain Pokemon, so it's good to get a lot of those to stock up. And as always, you know, you get a lot of XP Candy Ls and XLs with this event, so it's good to farm those if you want to do that. And like I said, I think this raid event is decently easy if you've got these electric type Pokemon. So I hope this video helped you out. If it did, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet videos. And let me know in the comments. And let me know in the comments what Pokemon you've been using in the raids. Let me know if there's a Pokemon I didn't think of that has worked really well for you. I'm actually interested in hearing that. So let's get that discussion going and enjoy your new Decidueye. Let me actually show you the one I caught. I caught it in a Dusk Ball. I actually caught, towards the end of Sword and Shield, there was a raid event where you could catch the Alola starters, and I caught a couple Decidueyes in different balls there, and I bred a shiny in a Luxury Ball in Sword and Shield, so I'm just going to transfer that at some point. So for right now, you know, this one I just caught in a Dusk Ball, and it does have that cool mark, so yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for watching.